This week on MS Refresh, it's the roadmap recap. Outlook goes hybrid, SharePoint gets new templates, and GCC, that's the government community cloud, gets some Viva love. All that and more. Subscribe to stay in the know. This is the MS Refresh Show. Hello there, and welcome to the Matt and Sean 365 Refresh Show. This is episode 75 for the work week of November 7th, 2022, and this month's roadmap recap. Coming to you from the West Coast, I'm Sean Bugler.
And from the East Coast, my name is Matt Wade.
Matt Wade, have you tried these bone conduction headphones before?
I have not. No, I've still got my my AirPods going.
Don't get me wrong, I like the AirPods. And in fact, I just picked up a new my old over the head ones finally crapped out, so I just picked up some Maxes.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, living large.
Yeah.
It was either those or the AirPod Pros 2, and I couldn't rationalize getting another set of AirPod Pros.
Right. Yeah.
But I won these bone conduction things, and I've been wearing them for a couple weeks now. I won them when I went to run that 200-mile relay a while back. But I've been using them for like virtual meetings lately because there's nothing like in the ears, and there's nothing like, your ears get kind of hot when you've got the over ear stuff. They've been really nice. The only complaint that I've got is specifically when you and I record the intro to our show, it vibrates so hard on my ear that my ear, like the inside of it, tickles.
That was planned. When I got that intro years ago, it was specifically to take action upon you.
Yeah, you were like the long game. Sean is invariably.
So. I didn't even know you at that time.
Using bone conduction.
Exactly. That was the plan, man. Mission accomplished.
How's everything on your side of the fence? How you doing?
Good. Things are good here. No major complaints.
I mean, you could. I'd listen.
Yeah, well, I mean, your time just way too valuable. I wouldn't want to.
So, I say that all the time. I'm so glad you said that because I actually have a lot to say about how valuable my time is.
There's nothing big on my side. I think the interesting thing about this episode is that there's not a ton happening on the roadmap as of last month. I looked through to grab whatever was added the previous month or this month and what's due this month or came last month. And it wasn't a ton. I just kind of expected there to be a lot more with Ignite, but even with Ignite, there wasn't a ton of stuff on there. So it's definitely getting to be the slow time of year.
Yeah, it is. It does feel like it's happening a couple weeks early this year. For those of you who haven't been with Matt and I during this time of the calendar year, this typically is, or roughly like November, December. I mean, all of Redmond pretty much shuts down. They've announced all their cool shiny things, or at least in the last 3 years, they've re-announced all of their old slightly shiny things, or re-announced. But we really don't see a lot of activity on the roadmap. This is usually the opportunity for the program manager who's been sitting on all these updates for the last year. These things have been piling up that said, due April, due May. This is when they clear all that out and push it to Q1 of next year.
Right.
So, but that said, I was surprised at how much we saw on the Outlook side of things, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the news, and of course on the other side of it as well. But yeah, all's quiet on the Redmond front. I guess we should get into the news, shouldn't we?
I think that's probably best.
Let's do it.
This is the news.
Well, the holidays are a perfect time to catch up on your chores and projects, like painting. Word and Excel and PowerPoint for the web are getting their own fresh coat of paint with a refreshed look, coming in preview this month and a full release to follow in December. As we reported in our Ignite recap, which you should definitely check out, the Office 365 app is becoming the Microsoft 365 app. Big changes on the way for web, Windows, and mobile. Change will come first to the Office.com hub this month, followed by the Windows and mobile apps in January 2023. Outlook got some of the most notable features added to the roadmap this month. Somebody must have found their to-do list. Outlook for the web is getting the Teams meeting recap which includes meeting notes, recordings, documents, and more that appear within the context of a scheduled meeting. That's coming in January. Also coming in January, you'll be able to schedule focus time in your Outlook calendar, which will mute Outlook and Teams notifications during that time. Android is getting the ability to let you customize the navigation bar at the bottom of the Outlook mobile app. This is likely in a response to the recent change where search and calendar were flipped to a more logical order, but people, unsurprisingly, complained because they were used to the prior arrangement. You know, it's a good thing people don't freak out about the little things, right, Matt? Otherwise, we wouldn't get anything done. They switched it back, by the way, in case anybody's genuinely upset about that. The customizable toolbar should be out now. GCC High customers are getting suggested replies in all versions of Outlook this month. The Outlook mobile app is finally getting support for scheduled emails. That's coming in October, though we presume they now mean November. And Android is coming in December because iOS is better. Working hours and location should be rolling out this month to help with hybrid work. Microsoft Loop components should be available in all versions of Outlook this month. It's been in preview since it was announced in September. And sensitivity labels and encryption are getting some updates. Microsoft Purview, DLP, can now be used to warn email authors if keywords or phrases show up in an email that is not labeled to match that content. We'll see that preview in January and available in April. Outlook Desktop will automatically match an email's sensitivity label to the highest level of any attachments. That's in preview in January, in preview in December, available in January. Outlook for Windows will soon support SMIME, S/MIME, sign, and encryption natively. Now, if only SMIME itself wasn't such a pain to use. Matt, how do you say that? SMIME?
It's SMIME.
SMIME.
I see somebody doesn't encrypt their emails.
I like to think that, much like tweets, my emails are for the world. And last but certainly not least, within the space of Outlook, and certainly brought up far too often as far as we're concerned, reactions are supposedly in Outlook for Windows now, though we haven't seen any evidence of them even in the web app. So not sure what the deal is there, but my heart can't take any more broken promises. Moving on to Forms and slightly less dense news. Microsoft Forms has picked up support for animated backgrounds, which rolled out last month. What?
Big news, man. It's a big week.
Who asked for this? Whatever. On to Excel. New to Excel for macOS this month, you can run Office scripts using the code editor and the All Scripts task pane. Big news in the world of Excel. Whiteboard. Microsoft Whiteboard is getting a few nice features this month. Soon, you'll be able to format text on your whiteboard. Modern comments are also on the way, and you'll be able to have people follow you around the whiteboard when meeting in teams. A similar experience to live whiteboarding experiences like Miro and Mural. Yes, I know those sounded the same, but those are two different companies. That and GCC DoD is getting Whiteboard for the first time in their tenants starting this month. Hot in demand. Project for the Web will support up to 1,000 tasks within a project. That's expected by March, and it'll get support for custom calendars so you can indicate when people are working for better resource planning. That's expected by January. Viva Insights is coming to Teams in the government GCC High and GCC DoD clouds, estimated to arrive in March. This is the first sighting of Viva in the sovereign clouds, and we're very excited about it. And GCC Moderate is getting the Viva Insights web app and Viva Connections this month. More updates to the OneDrive sharing experience, this time when sharing externally. The journey should be smoother and more intuitive. And now sensitivity labels are included with both the sharing dialog, with sharing dialog to better help secure organization data. Both changes should presumably be out now. This month, the SharePoint team is rolling out 3 new site templates and updating current ones to align with current design guidance. That's exciting. But most of the SharePoint updates this month are to Microsoft Lists. Likely the biggest one, Lists is getting integration with approvals originally found in Power Automate, then extended to Teams. This definitely expands the value of lists since it's a common use case to track approval statuses manually in a list. It's coming this month. Another popular one is week layout in List Calendar View, which is also due this month. Already out, you should be able to create a list based on importing a CSV. And if you export a list to CSV, then import it back into lists, the two should look identical down to the formatting. I'm going to put that to the test. And for those of you who like lookup columns, many of you, I presume, starting this month, you should be able to do that in the modern view. No more having to jump into the settings page. The types of columns that have been expanded to yes, no, choice, and multi-choice. And that's the news.
That was the news.
All right, well done, sir.
Thank you very much. You know, I know that we set expectations on the upfront that this was going to be kind of a brief news episode, but doing it felt like a whole lot more. You know, obviously all of it relatively expected, but it always feels longer doing it. This is off track. Yesterday, for as like a team building thing, we had we did like a virtual dueling pianos thing. We like hired some piano bar in Cleveland to do dueling pianos virtually. It was really cool, actually.
Okay. I love a dueling piano bar, so go on.
Yeah. Amazing how Pavlovian it was that as we were going through this, I'm like, I need a beer real bad. But this poor guy, somebody requested that Gautier, somebody that you used to know. And he's like, I haven't done that one before. Let's try it. The range on that song is so much. And all I could think about as I was doing the news was like, I didn't expect how long this was going to be. I feel like that guy who's like trying to hit the high notes, trying to hit the low notes.
Well, it was a long walk to get to the conclusion, but that I see the connection now.
Welcome to the Matt and Sean 365 refresh show, where it takes a long time to get anywhere.
All right. So what was the thing that stood out for you this week?
You know, Outlook got a lot of love at Ignite, and there was so much to talk about out of Ignite that we really didn't have an opportunity to dig into it. So I wanted to take this opportunity to just kind of talk about how much I'm looking forward to Outlook getting these new hybrid experience integrations, you know, the enhancements. And we knew, I think probably the biggest example of what they were working on months ago was this idea of being able to allow people to RSVP to virtual or to meetings and say, yes, I will be there in person. Yes, I will be there virtually. Or presumably, no, I will not be there, but I will also be virtual, not there. But that kept getting delayed, and we were getting a little concerned that this was, you know, I mean, obviously Exchange is no spring chicken in terms of being able to kind of bootstrap it into this new modern world that we're operating in. So it was a relief to see them announce at Ignite that Outlook was finally going to pick that up, but it was actually going to go a step further than just being able to allow people to RSVP to meetings that they were invited to. Of course, you're still going to be able to just kind of, you know, bite your thumb at somebody and just say yes or no and not tell them whether you're going to be virtual or in person. Right. But you'll also have the ability to set a working schedule of where you will be on which days. And so for organizations like mine that are kind of diving headlong into the foreverness of working hybrid, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get increasingly difficult to book rooms, to figure out whether you even need to schedule, you know, a Teams or a Zoom or whatever. And so to be able to say, you know, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I work in the office. Thursday and Friday, I work from home, or some combination of the two, and have that be a regular dictated schedule that people can kind of bank on is really nice. Now, one of the things that and we'll drop a blog post to the announcements in the show notes, but one of the things that I really liked about that is you can also change it ad hoc in the calendar view. So if you're looking at your calendar view, you'll be able to, you know, up in the date area of each day on the calendar, just change. Actually, I just showed up at the office. I didn't realize today was bagel day. which is a reasonable reason to show up at the office.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm really looking forward to some of these quality of life enhancements. It's also integrating with the scheduling assistant, which is a really big deal. So as you're scrubbing through the scheduling assistant, you'll actually be able to see, well, who's anticipated to be based on their schedule, who's anticipated to be working from home, who's anticipated to be in the office. And that can help me inform as I'm scheduling this meeting. This is going to be particularly helpful for admins. As I'm scheduling this meeting, how big of a room am I going to need to book? There's a lot of interesting things rules that are going to come out of this. You know, it used to be when you were booking live events, if it was a free event and anybody could RSVP, you would bet 30% would not show up. That was generous. You could bet that if it was a free event, minimum 30% of people who RSVP will not show up. And I would imagine we'll see something similar with respect to, like, even if we see, okay, 10 of these people are working remotely, I'm going to bet that, a third of them actually show up in the office. And so I need to book a room that's, 30% bigger than I think it's going to need to be. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that evolves over time.
I think these updates are very valuable. It's still not all the way there for me, even with what they've announced. So, like, I do a lot of half days in the office versus out of the office. And, like, there's no clean way to do that. And this doesn't really do that, other than me changing my status the moment that I go.
So the work schedules do allow you to split days.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, you'll be able to split days. So, as opposed to, because I think a lot of people are thinking about it the way that working hours are currently set up, which is, you like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Right.
That's my work from home day. But you can split days. You can say, from 9 a.m. to noon, I'm, at home working. And then from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., I'm in the office working. You see, I quoted both times there because I think both people have an argument.
Right. All right. Well, that's good then. I guess I didn't understand the full, because right now, like, just to keep, my fiance and I will share calendars in that respect so that we know where each other is. And that really can only be done right now with an appointment, which is really kind of annoying because it takes up space on my calendar, and it's just there for, information to be had. But if that can be done from the back end, that would be or from the, the work scheduling side of things, and it's easy to change on the fly. That's really what I'm kind of looking for. That would be very useful. So I think that'll be, those will be some major improvements, definitely for my life, at least. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. I was just about to say, well, thank God we've solved for Matt.
Exactly.
But I think, and all of that, by the way, is coming either this month. It's coming by the end of the year. According to the roadmap, we're going to see that start to hit tenants in November. I would not be surprised to see that bleed into December as they kind of get everything underway. That's exciting. I'm glad to see that finally coming into play here. And I think paired with their announcement of Microsoft Places, this kind of new mystery product that we don't know a ton about, but we know that it's going to be a mobile app that people can use to check into physical locations, that they can, pick up maps of offices they may have never been into, or in the case of my office, every floor looks the same. So it doesn't matter what theme you use. I'm still on a floor and I don't know where I'm going. And having those kinds of insights is going to be really interesting. Microsoft is clearly going all in on where Slack is positioning themselves as like the digital HQ, like the async, do it from anywhere. Microsoft seems to be going all in on hybrid. And that's fascinating because you can see two different companies, two different kind of monoliths betting on two very different standards of work.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you? What popped out to you?
Oh, can we just talk about the absolute drama around moving the icons for Outlook from the bottom left to the top left? It is
We're talking about the desktop app, yeah?
Yeah, the Windows desktop app. The juiciest and pettiest. It is just so delicious. That has been out now for a couple months, I think. If not in preview, then it's more recently gone out to real users. And I can't actually speak to seeing it myself on the government computer that I use, and I use my Mac at home, so I don't actually use Windows outside of work. But the responses, which we've kind of teased in the past, that this is coming. I can't wait to see the get off my lawn responses. But man, have they been vile. I mean,
people get angry,
crazy,
truly like insane. How angry they get.
The responses are like the complaint is like most of them boil down to it interrupts my flow, right? Which like, okay, but like it's not going to for a long time. Like if you use Outlook a lot, you'll get used to it very quickly.
Sure.
But then people are pushing on it takes up very critical pixel space on the width of Outlook so that I'm losing space to see my emails. And it's like, how many pixels can it possibly be? Like 50, 60 maybe?
Some of them might have the everything zoomed in, big picture. Who knows? Like maybe. One email might be the whole screen. We don't know.
and then there's only 4 or 5 apps, so it leaves all this blank empty space that's just a waste. And it's like, have you ever looked at any other apps that have empty, like, is that
right?
It's just amazing to me. So if you haven't looked
also
at this
like
yet,
there's all that empty space for now.
Right?
They're clearly making this change for a long term. Like, who knows what that's going to be?
And their aim is clearly to I mean, the reason Microsoft is doing it, there is a reason. It's not just because, but a lot of people don't use a lot of the other Office experiences outside of Outlook, especially the folks I think that are pushing back on this so hard, which is that the Office Hub or the Microsoft 365 Hub to be SharePoint, Teams. And I'm trying to think what else. At least those 3, though, which are huge. All have app bars on the left side, right? And like that's the direction they're moving. And all of their apps are going to have navigation on the left, and that's just the way it's going to be. And the response has just been just incredible. So I'm going to pull up my screen here. So if you haven't read this article yet, the link is in the show notes. This is basically the change people or the support people putting out information about what's happening. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about here, this is what I mean, is this graphic right here, where they're moving the modules, mail, calendar, people, and tasks, or in this case, it's now to do, to the left side top of Outlook, which is...
as opposed to the bottom underneath the left sidebar.
Correct, exactly. And, there's information in here about how it works and whatnot. Some people had figured out that there was a backdoor way to like change it and go back to the old way, but that's going to be removed if it hasn't already. If you want to just see the amazingness of humanity, you want to scroll down to the comments. There are 400 plus comments on the announcement. Some people just say this sucks and that's it. You can see these are probably the most likes on comments that they've probably ever seen in the tech community, like no joke. And it has been brought up that, by the way, there is a feedback portal request to change this back. So this is even better. So if you go to the feedback portal, this is Microsoft's replacement for user voice if you haven't seen it in the past. So Laura is the lucky person to have called dibs on this feedback change. First off, the post starts with ugh. Misspells the word change, like really representing this cohort very, very well.
This is an angry person who's just like blinded by rage, typing as quickly as they can.
No offense to Laura, but Laura is the person that posted here, so that Laura is going to be the one with the visibility of it. But if you move it down here, or if you scroll down, you're just going to see all of these, I can't work anymore kind of things. And this one right here, I just loved. What on earth was the point in removing the option? I've just wasted an hour of my life trying to find an option to go back to. I want to put the navigation bar back where it was, bottom left. I don't care that you want to take up the entire left margin of my screen. The position of that nav bar annoys me. Why can't I move it? So
the use of bolding is borderline like that. I know. That's like the renaissance of text formatting right here.
Yep. A lot of them boil down to make it an option, right? Make it configurable. Let me choose, which I don't disagree with. Like I can see that as being a potential compromise. But at the same time, that app bar is going to have more stuff than just the 4 things that are currently shown in Outlook.
Right.
So they're going to have to like think through that. So you can see that there's more apps available. They're trying to make the integration to point to other M365 tools. So you see, Yammer and Bookings is there, but then you can also click the app button to open up your other Office apps, right? And a lot of people that use Outlook don't have a need for that, right? They're literally just doing email, and that's all they ever do. They don't need to go to M365 to open up Word or to get into Yammer or to look at To-Do. So there isn't really space on the bottom left unless they bumped up the whole app and took up all those pixels on the bottom to basically make a taskbar, essentially in Outlook, which would be kind of a weird look, when it's actually on top of the Windows taskbar. So this is very, very fun to read. So if you want to get some real,
you want to spend an hour of your life reading comments.
Exactly. This is a great way to do it. And it's just amazing. And it just, I don't know. I realize that I come from more of the cloud side these days. And like this change to me is a good one. I use Outlook in the web always. That's the only version of Outlook that I use, which has had this for
And that's
forever.
actually a really good point, which is that this is ultimately a move to get people comfortable with that being on the left-hand side, because the desktop Outlook app in its current form is not long for this world.
Right, exactly.
The steady march is to the Outlook web UI, whether you're using it in the web or you're using it in a web shell on the desktop.
Yep, definitely. So I don't have a whole lot of sympathy because this change really is not a big deal. And my takeaway from this is just the pettiness of people and the entitlement that people have that you can't take away my Outlook from 1997. How dare you? It's just amazing. I do understand that change is hard. Like I come from the change management side of things, and but this one, choose a different hill to die on would be my takeaway on this. It's just, there's so much more coming. Just wait until the new Outlook comes to Windows. It's going to be a major, major change. The reason I love Outlook for the web is because I cannot stand all the buttons on Outlook for Windows, because when you open that up,
too many bells and whistles.
It's like walking down the strip in Vegas. Just everything is just in my face. It's like I just need to create an email. I just need to create an appointment. There's 4 different buttons to schedule a meeting in the calendar module.
And a user shouldn't have to know the difference between what an appointment is and what a meeting is.
It's
a thing on a calendar.
Meeting. Exactly. And you go into the web version, it's literally create event. That's it. Boom, done. And then you choose in the settings of that event what it's going to be. You don't need to know that one's an appointment, one's a meeting, one's a Teams meeting, one's something else. I don't know. So I may get some hate on this video myself just for my, dismissive attitude of this. Bring it on. This really is not a big deal. It shouldn't be, at least. And if this is the thing that you want to die on, the hill you want to die on, go for it. But you got more coming.
I will shout out Microsoft, because they paid a lot of attention to that post. They updated it multiple times, which felt a lot like when our friend Omar was keeping an eye on the big change happening with OneDrive for Mac app update. So kudos to Microsoft for paying attention to this, because the tech community could very easily be just this cesspool of angry people that just shout in circles for eternity. Microsoft does listen and react and respond and engage, which I think says a lot about the culture of the company. And so I hope that continues. Obviously, I think that there's always going to be this clash between moving things forward and keeping people comfortable and happy. And we're in a really painful inflection point as Microsoft transitions everybody to these core web experiences. But yes.
I feel kind of bad for the Outlook team, because their hand is being forced on this, and they happen to have the roots of Microsoft, right? The Microsoft stack, the roots are Exchange and Outlook, right? That's where people have come from over the long haul, and a lot of people use their tool just by itself, and they don't have this context of there are other apps out there, so they're really being pulled by the Teams. And then eventually the Microsoft 365 Hub side of things. But Teams just has so many users. I don't think the Hub does. or the app for that matter. They're being, kind of pulled by the new kid in town and being told what to do based on a UX decision that was made in 2016 or 15 maybe. And their UX is now considered, it's outdated. It's not relevant anymore and needs to be brought into the modern times based on the new kids on the block, which, it's kind of a lose-lose, right? The Outlook team probably doesn't want to do it. They understand their users. The teams and like the bigger picture M365 teams are like, yeah, but we got to be consistent. Like you just have to do it. You don't have a choice. And then the users don't want it. But like from the perspective of consistency for future users and just general usage of M365 across the apps, you kind of have to do it. So it's, I don't know, it's an interesting, I don't know, again, like kind of lose-lose for everybody because you got to do it, but it's not easy.
Do you work for the Outlook team? Do you have the juicy goss? Reach out to me, not Matt, because I'm not an MVP.
Spill that tea. That's great. All right. So yeah, I thought that was fun. One last thing I wanted to give a quick update. I have, after many requests, and it just takes so much time, made the update to the periodic table.
Hey, it's about time.
Is a lot bigger now. Just like last time when I first put this together, I had to print out boxes to like actually organize these on a table. Like I can't really do it. You can't do it without actually being able to move things around. And then I take a picture and like, okay, that looks good. All right, no, that looks good. So this now includes Viva. It includes all of the Power Platform apps and additionally Dataverse. The groupings are a little bit different. We included some of the new features that have been advertised. So Clipchamp, Create, and Designer are now listed on here as well. And then I've done a bit more organizing around and regrouping to try to I don't know, close some of the gaps I thought that I had on earlier copies. The English version is the only version that's updated at this point. I'm kind of waiting for any killer feedback or like, oh no, that's really wrong, or you're missing X before I do the translated versions, because the translations take a long time. I think there's 12 or 13. Well, those are 12 or 13 individuals in the world that are volunteering to help out, but like I need to like, cat herd a little bit. So once this kind of settles and we're good with this way, the updated translations will be there as well. So.
Hey, well, congratulations on getting this out. I know this has been a labor of love for a very long time, and also simultaneously an albatross around your neck.
And yeah, it's finally now the periodic table of Microsoft 365. That was one of the other major changes. It used to be Office 365. I resisted for a long time renaming it because of the just weirdness that Microsoft had on that brand. Well, not just that, but just
kidding.
they couldn't seem to like really jump, get in on the whole it's Microsoft 365 until this year. Ignite, they really, not just because it has a logo now, but the only left with that name is the enterprise licensing. So before it was a lot of things, but yeah. So that's really the only really notably new thing that we didn't talk about earlier.
Well, all right. We had a lot of exciting things to talk about here today. Matt, as always, I appreciate you hanging out with me, spending quality time. And for those of you at home or at the office or wherever it is you happen to be, thank you for joining us. As always, a like and a subscribe is much appreciated. You can always hit the bell notification if you want to be notified when we actually drop these things. You can also, if you have feedback, like if you think Matt was horrifically insensitive, you can leave a comment below. We'd love to hear it. And we will be back next week with Teams updates, which we've got a lot of exciting stuff. And Matt, as always, it's good to see you.
Yeah, take care. My cat was digging through a plastic bag behind me. I don't even know where she is now, but I was like, could you, like, the one thing that makes noise in this room is a plastic bag, and you have to go investigating it for the potential that there's one piece of kibble in it or something.
I've always said cats are very in tune with stress. And I know how stressed you get on camera.
Yes, exactly.